Hello, YouTube. How are you doing today? This is a lovely Monday morning podcast here on the Marley Bird YouTube channel. As you know, we typically do the Yarn Thing podcast on Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock Mountain Time. But this week, we had to change it up a little bit because I will be flying to Philadelphia tomorrow to do a special Facebook Live, possible YouTube Live with Beetle doing some shawl pins and stuff. We're going to have a lot of fun over there. And I'll be meeting up with my partner in crime, Caitlin Mall. You guys know her from all of the yarn unboxings that we do. So it'll be a good time hanging out over there. So because of the travel schedule, I had to move today's guest to Monday, but hopefully that won't disrupt many of you from enjoying this wonderful podcast that we have here on the channel. So as I mentioned, the show is usually every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock Mountain Time. That is 12 o'clock on the East Coast, 9 o'clock on the West Coast, and 11 o'clock in the Midwest. If you are anywhere else in the world and would like to join us live for the broadcast, please Google what time 10 o'clock Mountain Time is for you. I do live in Denver, Colorado. You can always come and join the fun. If you don't want to Google and you just want to know, hey, Marley, when are you going live? Because I know it jumps around a little bit because of your travel schedule. Best thing you can do is just hit subscribe right here on the Marley Bird YouTube channel. Click the little icon button that's a bell, and you'll be notified whenever I go live. I think you have to set it up in your settings to get notifications right away, or get an email or a text, or I don't even know. Like, I just get notifications all the time when my friends go live. So I don't remember how I set those up. So you're gonna have to look that up yourself. But anyways, I would love for you to be one of the subscribers to the channel here. Speaking of the Yarn Thing podcast, we are blessed to have wonderful sponsors of the show, and I want to share those with you. And before I say their names, I want to remind you that you can always go check out the full sponsor list over at marleybird.com. You just click on the drop down menu for podcast, and you'll see the full list of the sponsors. It's important that they know you're hearing their name, their titles, their company here on the podcast. Lets them know that their advertising dollars are well spent. So I would appreciate it if you'd go over and, just click on their link, or send them a note on Facebook or something to say, hey, thanks for sponsoring one of my favorite podcasts. I would really appreciate that. And those sponsors would include Craftsy.com, Creative Bug, Aaron Lane Bags, Buffalo Wool Company, who I had on the podcast last week. If you didn't listen, you got to go listen. They're really great. Stitches.events, where I will be attending Stitches SoCal November 1st through the 4th. So hopefully if you are in the Pasadena, California area, you can come by, say hello, take a class with me live if you want to. And last but certainly not least, Red Heart Yarns, where I'm the proud national spokesperson, and it's the home of Chic Sheep by Marley Bird. So those are the lovely sponsors. Don't forget to go tell them thank you for sponsoring me. It allows me to do this show free every week, you guys. So it's really important that they know that they're getting some love from you. All right. So today's guest is a longtime friend of mine. I had the pleasure of meeting her at TNA at one of the designer dinners a couple years ago, and it was one of the highlights of that dinner. I sat at the table with her, and we just had a good time chatting. And I've been following her career on Facebook and Ravelry, and just paying attention to what she's doing, because it's nice to see people come into the industry with a passion and watching their success grow. And it's nice to have April on the podcast today to talk about her love for crochet, her passion to design, her ability to balance being a designer and a mom of 4 kids. And she homeschools, you guys. To me, that's like superhero status, because I don't know if I could do it. I balance what I can with what I do, but I know that a big part of me being able to do what I do is my team around me, not only Caitlin, but my husband. He's a huge part of it. But anyways, I'm excited to introduce you guys to April Garwood of Banana Moon Studios, so that you can get to know her, love her, follow her, and do all the general happy goodness. So let's welcome her to the podcast. Hi, April.
Hi, Marley. Hey, everybody. I'm excited to be on here today.
I am thrilled you are here today. It's fun to have you here. So let's tell people where you're calling in from today.
So I live in Piedmont, Oklahoma. That's just like a suburb northwest of Oklahoma City.
Okay, cool. What's the weather out there? Like, we just got snow.
Oh, it is really cold here too. It's been rainy lately. We got down to 34 degrees last night, and wouldn't you know it, our heater is broken.
Oh no. We
So,
turned ours on and it smelled like smoke. And John was like, "No, what's going on? It's always something." But then it was just like burning off the dust or something because
yeah.
everything's good now. But oh man, that stinks.
Yeah, we have a repairman coming this afternoon, so hoping that he can fix it and it doesn't cost a lot.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's the trials and tribulations of being a homeowner sometimes. So let's tell people a little bit about you and let's jump to the beginning. When did you start crocheting and when was it something that you were like, I enjoy and I want to do this?
So I learned how to crochet when I was about 10. My oldest sister taught me how, and I just kind of did it off and on throughout my teenage years and even on in the young adult years. It wasn't, I mean, it was something I did, but not something I did all the time. I grew up in a crafty family. My mom makes beautiful quilts. She taught me how to cross stitch and how to sew. Um, she knitted occasionally when I was a kid, but not really very often. And then fast forward to, it was, when was it? I guess it was in between my last two children. So about um, 2008-ish. Um, I had never crocheted anything wearable, like I mean scarves and hats and stuff, but no sweaters, no garments. And I was shopping at Barnes and Noble with my husband one evening. That was kind of our cheapy date night because we were still poor as dirt. Anyway, I saw a copy of Interweave Crochet there, and there was this beautiful top on the cover that had a like mandarin neckline, and I want to say that the designer was Doris Chan.
Yeah,
It was like lavender.
I think it
um,
was Doris. I know what you're talking about.
yeah, and so I saw that and I went, wow, I had no idea that people crocheted things like that. I was blown away because every crochet sweater I'd ever seen at that point, and for the most part I had just been looking at big box stores, Michael's, Hobby Lobby kind of
I love
spaces.
them.
I know, and they're doing a lot of great things these days. But at that time, so I wasn't seeing the kind of up to date designs there. And so then when I saw this issue of Interweave Crochet, I was blown away. So I started subscribing to the magazine, and that got me kind of up to date on what was really going on in the industry. And I started following some of the designers whose work I saw in there that I really admired. Specifically, Ellen Gormley comes to mind,
Oh, I just saw her like
and Robin
Thursday.
Chichula.
Oh, Rabba Chichula, she's
Yeah,
my favorite crochet designer. No offense to all of my crochet designer friends out there, but Robin is my absolute favorite. And it's
she's
like what you
amazing.
were saying, Robin was my first experience of seeing somebody design something that I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you could do that with crochet. Like
Yeah.
it was that aha moment. And then since then, we've become really great friends. So
Yes.
I'm still a fangirl every time I'm with her.
Well, it's funny because I have fangirled over her too, but I've still never met her.
Oh, she's fantastic. I love her.
So, and Doris, of course, because I was so impressed by her top that I saw. I started following along, and then um, I was expecting my youngest, and I had made blessing day dresses for each of my girls for when they were going to be blessed at church as babies. And I had sewn the dresses for the other three. But when I was expecting this baby, I was thinking, how am I going to make hers different? And so I decided I was going to crochet one for her. And so I started looking for patterns, and I just wasn't finding anything that was really what I wanted. Um, and so I just decided, well, I'm just going to design one. And it's funny because I remember telling my sisters that, and they thought I was crazy. That was what they said. Are you crazy? And I'm like, probably. You've always thought that I was. I mean, we have a very sarcastic relationship, my sisters and I. And so, anyway, so long story short, I designed it and I made it white because it was her blessing day dress. But I decided that I was going to submit this design to Interweave Crochet. And I redid it in, I think the one that I submitted to them was hot pink. And it had this mesh skirt with an underlay of material. And I think it was like a white background with some black flowers on it. Anyway, so this was the swatch and the design idea that I sent into them. And it's interesting looking back on it, because now that I've seen so much of what's in their magazine, they don't do a lot of kids clothing,
Yeah,
some, but not a lot. But it was beginner's luck. They accepted the design, and I was blown away. So that was my first design. And it was funny because when I got the box of yarn that they sent to me, I was terrified to touch it. I was just like, I'm going to do something wrong. And it took me a long time to just pick it up and get started on it, because I was so scared. So that was my first design that came out in 2010.
that's so cool. I have a similar story. When my first design, it was accepted by Interweave Crochet, and I got the yarn, and all I kept thinking was, it wasn't, oh, I'm afraid to touch it or anything. I was working on this piece, and I was like, how in the heck do designers do more than one piece like every 2 months? Because this is taking me forever. Like, I could not grasp the idea of doing more than one piece, which is funny now following myself, but
Yes.
it's that initial shock of, you're a designer now, and you have this expectation of, fulfilling what you've presented to these people, and there's that fear. I mean, for me, I had a fear of, I've always had a fear of failure, like, always, so much so that it crippled me in various points of my life. But when it came to crochet and knitting, I was lucky. I broke through, I want to call it like a brick wall that I put up for this fear. And when I did, I was a blubbering mess. First off, I was crying all over the place. It was awful because it was like this huge personal shift of, I'm going to do this. And then it's just been balls to the wall. Let's make this happen. Nothing's going to stop me now. Um is that kind of how, after you had this first piece accepted, were you like, all right, let's do this? Or were you still kind of like, all right, well, that was fun. Now what's next? Like, I'm not sure.
Um, I have not stopped designing since. It's been one design after another, and of course, I've submitted a lot that weren't accepted. Um,
That's
but
par
I'm,
for the course.
yeah, I'm actually grateful for that, because when I first started, I there was so much I didn't know and understand about designing, and I've learned so much along the way. It's been amazing, but I didn't really have a good concept for what made a good pattern and what didn't. Because you know that it's very possible for you to crochet something that it would be next to impossible to actually write a pattern for.
Right.
And I'm actually really grateful for the editors that turned down some of those designs that would have been impossible to write a pattern for, because at that point I was still learning and growing, and I didn't really understand myself, that even though I could make it and it would be awesome, it would be a nightmare to try and write a pattern for. So some of those rejections were blessings.
I understand. I understand. That's so cool. So as you continued on, obviously you started submitting to other magazines, making your own designs. What was your transition as a designer to, okay, first off, not many people know how to submit to magazines. There's not many magazines anymore to submit to, but at the time, it was, how do I do this? So I guess my first question is, how did you go about submitting yourself to places? How did you learn what to do? And then the second question would be, did you start a website? How did you go about getting your own designs out there that maybe you weren't accepted by the magazines, or ones that you didn't submit to magazines? How did you transition to be a designer?
Well, so I'm trying to remember. That was such a long time ago. Um, I think that at that point, Interview Crochet had, just inside where they listed like the editor's name and everything, they had information on there about where to submit. Um, it was either that, or I just went and Googled on their website and found, they had like submission guidelines and a form. Um, and like I said, it's hard to remember exactly exactly how that started because it was a long
Yeah.
time ago. But I got comfortable with that idea of just going to the website for the magazine and finding out, how to submit, because they usually have that information out there. Or with other magazines later on, once I got connected with people in the industry, I was able to ask for contact information from someone. I would say, do you have contact information for the editor of this magazine? How can I get in touch with them? So going to events was a big help with that, because once I started going to some of the trade shows and the knit and crochet show, I got in touch with other designers and got connections in the industry. So that helped with being able to submit and get my work in front of editors.
Cool.
And then I started a website just along the way because I saw, I saw the other designers that I had started following back in the beginning. They all had a blog, and so I started a blog because I thought, well, that's how I'm going to start getting out there. I've got to have a presence on the internet.
Right.
And so I started my blog, and then a while later decided to start transitioning over to having my own website. So to begin with, my blog was just on Blogspot, and I actually only just moved it from Blogspot in the past couple of months to where now it's actually integrated with my website.
Uh-huh.
There's still kind of a work in progress there, because a lot of the blog posts that I had before, they're transferred over to my new blog on my website now, but there's still, like, still need to go through and make sure that all the pictures are still there and all the links still work. So that's still a work in progress.
And time consuming too. Like I mean,
Very.
I need people to understand, it's fun to realize, okay, I need a website and you're like, okay, I'm going to jump in and do this. And at the time I just had a blog. I never had a website. But to transition into a website and move all that over to the website, the blog to the website, like just building everything. There are obviously commercials here on YouTube and stuff that make it look so easy. I started my website with Wix, and it's like,
Mhm.
you know what? As it grows, it's not that easy anymore once you start building up in there. So I appreciate the whole work in progress part of it all. Um, so you started your website. Did you put out free patterns? Did you sell patterns? What was your path? Because I find that there's a lot of designers that, and I often will talk about this in my hobby to profession class. I feel like back when we started, because I started in 2007, you kind of had this decision. It was, you went the quote unquote professional path where it was with publishers and pieces, right? And then there was the other path that's like, oh, that's just a blogger, that's just somebody who does this stuff. So it kind of went like this, right? And
Mhm.
then it was like in 2000, I'm going to say 2012, it felt like it went whoop and it just
Mhm.
shifted, right? Everything was like, no, no, these people who were just bloggers, they are professionals. And these people over here, well, the publishing industry is going away. So you better make your way over this half. Like it was just this big crisscross thing that happens. So my question to you is, back in 2010, of course, you started the website and you were doing stuff professionally with publishers. What did you have in your mind that you wanted to go one path or the other, or were you just kind of towing that line on both ways? Did that make any sense? Like in
Yes,
my head,
yes.
that made total sense.
Well, yes, it did. And you're right. There, I saw this big shift happen, and it was interesting because a lot of the people that were going that professional route with the
Right.
magazines and yarn companies, they fought it, and
Oh,
some
yes.
of them are still fighting it. Um, and I started to meet some of the other people that were blogging, and when we would go to professional meetings, I was hearing from them that they were actually being compensated better
Oh,
than
yes.
a lot of the people that were going the magazine and yarn company route.
Yeah.
And I went,
Yeah.
what exactly is happening here? And
That's what
how
I
is it
did
that?
too.
And I thought, how are they making money if they're giving away free patterns? And so I had to learn about that. So it has been kind of an interesting shift for me. I started out just thinking I was gung ho, wanted to do the magazines and yarn companies, and I really enjoyed that, and I was really glad that I was successful at that because it made me feel accomplished, and it gave me an education that I needed about how to write well.
Mhm.
And that was an experience because I'll tell you, I started out writing patterns and I had to learn a lot.
Me too.
About how to write well. So if
Yep.
you look at my early patterns and then my later ones, you'll see that I learned a lot in there. So there were some good things about that, but I'll tell you a few things that happened. First of all, like I said, I started meeting bloggers and hearing about what they were doing. And so that kind of helped me see that there was another way, that there was another platform there. And then my personal life got in the way of what I was trying to do. So, you know what deadlines are like.
Yeah.
And it became difficult. There was one particular summer. It was after the first time I think that I went to TNNA. I came home swamped with projects. For about 3 months, I was having to work constantly, every free moment. And it was exciting because I had so many new patterns coming out, but really, it really drained me a lot.
Yeah.
And actually, after I got that last one of that whole group submitted, I don't think I submitted anything for almost 6 months.
Oh, wow.
I was just I was burnt out.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I've never been able to figure out how to balance the idea of using contract stitchers.
Yeah.
Like maybe I could find a way to make that work, or I could design more frequently if I made that work, but I haven't been able to make that jump. So it's just me.
Yeah.
It's just me writing, and it's just me stitching. And because I've chosen to homeschool my 4 children, I have to spend a big chunk of my day helping them with schoolwork and just in general making sure that they're doing it. They
Yeah.
actually do a lot of their work without much help from me. They do a lot of just teaching themselves by reading, but it's me having to remind them, have you done this? Have you done your reading? Have you done your math assignment? Have you brushed your teeth today? Because when you aren't leaving for school in the morning,
Shoot.
sometimes it's easy to just sit around in your pajamas and not shower.
Even when they are leaving for school, I have to remind my boys, brush your teeth and please, for the sake of God, please put on some deodorant. Please. Like
I knew that
it
was
is a
what you were going to say.
struggle. It is a struggle. But thank God, Caden, I'm totally gonna out him right now. He's 14. He's gonna be like, Mom, I can't believe you said that. But he's got a girlfriend now. So he's brushing his teeth every morning, he's putting on deodorant, and he's taking a
Yay!
shower. Like these are huge accomplishments, people. I'm so happy.
It's true. You would think by the time they were teens, they'd be like, sure, shower every day,
Right.
deodorant, brush teeth without being asked. No.
No, no. The struggle is real. So you do all that, and so you homeschool. So now how much designing do you do now? And then how did you get your Crojo back?
Well, so I started to see that there was a way that I could continue designing and continue to be involved in the industry without having deadlines all the time.
Uh-huh.
So at that, I had already put out a few paid patterns just on like Ravelry and Etsy. And I started kind of testing the waters, like putting a few free patterns on my blog and seeing how that went, and still doing a few paid patterns and seeing how that went. So I've been kind of trying to figure it out. And I honestly, I'm not exactly sure what. I think I just had to take some time off. And the other thing I think that really helped me come back to designing after that break was self-publishing, because I was able to focus more on the things that I really wanted to make. So one thing that I had, as I'm sure you know, because I see all of that yarn piled up behind you, when you are a designer and you're working for the magazines and the yarn companies, you wind up with so much yarn,
Yeah.
so much, because and I'm not saying this to you because I know you know this, but for everybody watching, uh, you wind up getting yarn from the manufacturer. So when you're publishing with a magazine, they have the manufacturer send you the yarn, and you always overestimate by a little bit on how much you're going to need, because too much is much better than too little. You don't want to have to ask them to overnight you an emergency skein or two because it's due in 2 days and you're not done. So you overestimate a little bit on the yarn, and
Always.
some of the magazine editors will ask you to send them whatever's left over, but some
Mhm.
of them don't.
Hmm.
And so if you're designing for those magazines that want you to just keep the leftovers, then you wind up with
Yes.
leftovers and lots of leftovers.
Yes.
And then what happens is once you get involved going to trade shows and you start meeting with the yarn companies, you'll go in. If they see that you're already as successful a designer, they'll ask you, can we send you yarn?
Yep.
Because they want you to work in their yarn. So, and that makes total sense because what do you work with? The yarn that you have.
Right.
So, anyway, you wind up with a ton of yarn. And I had all of this yarn in my closet. And not only that, but yarn I'd picked up at stores and trade shows that I loved,
Yeah.
or I started spinning. And so then I had the yarn that I was making. And I had all of this yarn that I wanted to use and I wasn't getting to use it.
I understand. Believe it
Yeah.
or not, all this yarn behind me, so I'm going to switch so people can see. All of this yarn is yarn I've purchased. All of this. All of this, that entire thing is Chic Sheep. So it's yarn with my name on it. All the yarn that you're talking about is on that side of the room and in that room over there. But I mean you're absolutely right. You end up with a ton of yarn. But yeah, I would love to make something with some of this. Like, well, not with some of it, but like all of it,
Yeah.
but you're right.
Yeah, so I started seeing that there was a way that I could work with all the beautiful yarn that I had and wanted to use, and I could design without deadlines if I could do it for myself. And so that was what really got me more excited about shifting more towards self publishing. So then I had my blog, and as you know, a lot of people who are putting out free patterns, they're getting their income from the advertising that they're
Yes.
putting on their site.
And let's pause for a second and let people understand that because I'm not sure there are a lot of people out there that really get that.
Yeah.
When a designer puts their pattern up for free on their website, if they are a savvy designer, yes, they want you to have that pattern for free, but they're not doing it solely for from the kindness of their heart. When you go to their site to view that pattern, to copy and paste that pattern, anything you do, when they have ads on their site, they're actually making money from you visiting that site. So for people who will complain sometimes that I don't put up a PDF of free patterns on Ravelry, why do I have to put them on my blog? Well, the only way I'm able to give it to you for free is if I put it on my blog with ads because I'm getting paid through the ad revenue that I'm making. So, for those of you out there who love free patterns, and there are many of us that do, visit the sites of the designers you love because that's how you're supporting them without actually physically giving them money. Okay. If you want to buy their patterns, like there are many of us who will put up ad free PDF. So it'll be the same free pattern that you could get on the website, but they'll put it up for sale if you want to purchase it without ads. And there are people that do that. Like I put ads up like that. And there are crocheters and knitters who want those. So they will purchase those. Great. Love it. But if you want to support designers with your time and the time that they're spending putting patterns up for free on their website, visit their websites, share the links to their websites because that traffic to their website actually gives them the revenue to be able to continue to do what they're doing. So that's what April's talking about here when she talks about making money through the ads. It's through these ads on the website that we're putting up for free. So I get so many questions about that. So I wanted to make sure that we clarify what that is. Okay.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. It's something I was thinking about just the last few days that I don't think a lot of people, even people in the industry, don't understand.
No, they
And
don't.
and there'll be some people who think that they can distribute a designer's pattern because it's free.
Right.
And that's a big problem. So
That's
don't
not
ever
it.
go out there and copy and paste somebody's pattern and then start giving it out to all your friends.
No,
That designer really needs for everybody that wants the pattern to come to their site to get it. That's how they're
absolutely.
able to be supported
Mhm.
and putting out free patterns.
Not to mention that those free patterns, they still are copyrighted. That is copyrighted material. So copy and pasting it for your own personal use so that like you have it for your own like file or something, that's one thing. But don't copy and paste it onto something, print it out, and then take it to your church shawl group. Be like, oh, it's free. I'm just going to hand it out. I mean, I've made the same mistake, you guys. Before I knew, I did the exact same thing. But the thing is, one, that is stealing because it is copyrighted material. And two, you're actually hurting that designer because you're not sending them to his or her website to get that pattern. So, all right, that's it for my soapbox. All right, keep going, April.
Yep. Yep. It's all true though. So I started out on my blog. I started just testing that out, putting ads out on my blog. And I have to say, I don't think that I really figured it out. I've never actually splurged on a web designer to help me put my website together. I've only done it myself. But I started trying an experiment, and it's still an experiment. I took all the ads off of my site, and I still have free patterns on there. But what I'm trying to do instead is alternate free patterns with paid patterns. So I'm using my free patterns to advertise my paid patterns. Does
Interesting.
that make sense? So,
Okay.
and I hope that at some point too, I can actually do, like, let's say if it's a free pattern, I can make a really extensive video tutorial to go with it. That the tutorial would be something you'd paid for, but not the pattern, or vice versa. If it's a paid pattern, putting out a free tutorial for it. So it's still an experiment. And so far, it's not making me a whole lot of money, but I'm okay with that right now. And so that's kind of what I'm trying. And I got that idea because of a webinar that I listened to about somebody that was talking about blogging and how to make money blogging. And she was
Yeah.
talking about that idea of using your free content to advertise for your paid content. So I don't know. At some point, I may go back to just putting ads on my blog. It might be more successful, but but in the meantime, I'm just kind of trying this out and seeing how it goes. And it's not making me a lot, but it has increased my sales of my paid patterns. So I have definitely seen that it can work. I just don't think that I have enough traffic yet for
Okay.
it to make a lot. So I'm still kind of trying to figure out my niche, I guess, how I'm going to make it work for me.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I'm really enjoying what I'm doing
That's
and
good.
making it work around my lifestyle right
And
now.
that's good. That's good. Yeah, you might try the whole giving it away for free on the website, but having ads on it and then offering the ad-free PDF for purchase. Like to me, Caitlin was the one that talked me into doing it because she was like, people want it. I'm telling you, because in my mind, I'm like, why would somebody want to buy a pattern that's already free out there? But and the many people do. They're like, I don't
Mhm.
want the ads. I want the pattern. I don't want to have to worry about doing the copy and paste thing. I want to
Right.
support you. So then they'll go spend $1.99, $2.99 on the pattern. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I get it now. I get it now. At the time, I was like, this is never going to work. People are be like, what are you doing? But that's not the case. Like people, because I think there are two types of people. There are people who literally will only get free patterns, and then they'll turn around and complain that people don't respect the work they do for craft fairs and stuff. That's a whole nother soapbox. But and then there's people who, want free patterns, but they're willing to support the designer also with purchasing. I think there's just you have to diversify all of that. And so I appreciate you trying to find where your niche is and making it work for you. Like I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. So still a work in progress. And, as my kids get older and need a little less out of me, then maybe I'll have more time to put into it. It's right now, like one thing you asked was how much time am I actually spending designing? I really don't get more than 2 to 4 hours a day that I can spend working on my website, on writing, on stitching. I get a little bit more time stitching just depending on the day, but especially the writing, because that can be oh, what's the word?
Time
More
consuming?
time consuming, and it's mentally consuming. Like
Oh, absolutely.
sometimes you really have to have quiet and you have to kind of be in your groove and be able to really focus on what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yep.
Finding time to really focus on what I'm writing, that's not easy to do.
Absolutely. We have a question from the chat room. So she has two wonderful questions. So this is Jeannie Eaton, and hi, Jeannie.
Hi,
And she wants to
Jeannie.
know, where do you get your inspiration for your designs? And her second question was, do your designs and patterns consider the level of proficiency of the crocheter?
Okay, so where do I get inspiration? I would say that I usually start with the yarn because I love it. I love yarn so much. And I love color. Another interesting thing that I like seeing if I can do with a pattern is finding interesting ways to, maybe this seems weird, but to put interesting lines into a pattern. sometimes when you have like a place where you increase or a place where colors change or the flow of your stitches, there can be interesting lines in a pattern. And I kind of like seeing if you can put them together in a way that maybe would be surprising, if that makes sense. But usually I start with the yarn. I'll find a yarn that I love and I'll sit it, I'll usually sit it right next to my computer, next to my keyboard, and I'll just look at it for a couple of days, a couple of weeks. Just spend time looking at it and thinking about it and deciding what it would really, what would be the right design for that yarn. So that's kind of where I start. I love designing for kids because of course I started out, that's kind of where I started, was designing for my kids. And I still enjoy designing things for them. Even when I design things for adults, my kids take them. Can I have this? Can I keep it? And they model for me a lot. And so a lot of times if they model for me, they insist on getting to keep whatever it was. So I really enjoy designing for kids. I almost exclusively design wearables. I will occasionally do.
Oh,
Um,
your voice is still
Oops,
going, but your video went away.
sorry. Yeah, my phone wants to. Let me move this a little bit.
That's all right. I'll switch to me.
Uh-oh.
I'll say hi, everybody, while April's switching that
Hi.
around.
Okay.
Just so you guys know, if you are watching live, there is a chat room happening. So make sure you post questions and, they're having wonderful conversations over there. April, just so that you know, many people were talking about how they didn't know that about the ads on websites. So they're happy that we mentioned it to them, which is
Awesome.
great. And I love having all of you guys here. It's really great. It's really great. Let's see here. I'm going to look at some of the questions while you're maneuvering your video stuff over there. So
Uh,
let's see. I got to see here. I gotta decipher through some of that. It says, this is great to know. So they were talking about the website stuff. Let's see, Brittany Wilson. Aha, I get it now. I've always wondered about that. Again, that was about the ads on the website. Dawn didn't know it. Shauna says it totally makes sense. Yes, that's exactly what is going on, guys. And you'll notice also in my YouTube videos, I will often use affiliate links sending you back to Red Heart so that they know you watched the video on my channel and I'm sending you to their website to get that pattern. That's a way for them to be able to track the success of my videos and what's going on. So it all kind of coalesces together, all of this design and affiliate and monetization stuff of it all. I am just like April when it comes to letting the yarn speak to you when it comes to design. So I can absolutely agree with her on that. Like, so here's the remains of yarn that was speaking to me. I was designing something the other day, and I'll have little bits of yarn on my table, and I'll just kind of let it sit there on my desk here, and until I'm just like, you know what? Oh, that's what that wants to be. So, I think there's a lot of designers that kind of feel that way sometimes. Sometimes I'll just pick up the hook and yarn, and I'll just start making something, and just let it just kind of come to fruition, just organically. That very much so happened with the super simple shawl. Many of you saw the video already right here on YouTube, and it's a free pattern on my website. I picked up the yarn, the Colorscape yarn that I purchased, and I'm like, I've got to make something with this. And voila, that shawl just kind of came out to be. I had no plans. It was just like, just want to work with this yarn. And so those are always the fun things to get to do. I love that April's kids model her stuff. I think it's fun to watch her on Facebook. And see the different designs happen and on Instagram, and I follow her on Twitter, and so it's neat to see all of that come together. Do you guys have designers that you like to follow as well, that you get interested in watching, the progress of what they do from start to finish and all of that stuff? I'd be interested. And April, how are we doing?
well, I am not sure if I can get the video back. I made the mistake of putting my phone on low power mode, and I think that was what did it. But I'm not sure. Technical difficulties. I'm not sure if I can click away from our hangout or from our video without losing you altogether.
Okay, so what you could
So
do, you could hang up and call back in. You want to try that?
yeah, why don't we try that?
Okay, I'll just sit here and I'll just talk to everybody. We'll wait for you. We'll be
Okay.
patient. Okay, so we'll let April put that together. Technical difficulties, you guys know it happens. I mean, we are knitwear and crochet designers. We are not technicians. Sometimes just things happen. Let's see here. Gayla is saying yes, she loves to follow designers. Me too. Me too. I follow a lot of my designer friends, but I also follow designers that I find interesting. Maybe I haven't had a chance to meet them yet, and I want to see what they're doing. I always get so jazzed and excited when new people enter the industry because I want this industry to be successful and exciting. I think that it's important to have new blood come in order to rejuvenate and make things exciting like that. So that's always fun. Dawn is saying, I always link after the YouTube video. Oh, cool. So she always links up to the YouTube video. There you are,
Oh,
April.
yay. Okay.
And then
So
Sheila says she
sorry.
loves to follow me. Oh, thank you so much. Chris Lopez, you're funny, Chris. Um, she's out there doing some fun things. So, anyways, let's go back to April and hear what she's got going on. So we were talking about you and designs and and all of that. So I'll let you just kind of go from there. Or do we have to redirect?
Okay, I'm so sorry about that.
That's
I'm
okay. It
usually
happens. I've had
not as
much worse
technically
happen on my
savvy as I
end.
thought. All right, so let me grab from back here some of the things.
Oh, good. Show and tell. I love show and
Some
tell.
of the things that I've worked on lately. So today I'm putting out. Let's see if we hold it back here. Can we see it? This is a new
That's
cowl
beautiful.
that I've designed in Marley's yarn, and I have to tell you guys, it is so squishy and
Isn't it
soft,
great?
and I love it. As soon as I opened the box with the skeins in it, I stuck my hands in and I squeezed them and I went, oh, this is nice. And I
And
called all my
that's it.
girls over and I said, guys, come feel this. And they all squished it and were like, Mom, I love it. So it's so squishy and soft, and I love it. And so this cowl, like I talked about with lines, this one, I don't know how well you can see that. The baubles that are on it
Huh?
make this, make this geometric pattern. And I started out coming up with the pattern that I wanted to make on it and just kind of fiddling around on Excel, making a diagram of how I wanted the baubles to line up. And at first I was just going to do like diamonds all the way around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, well, what happens if I get rid of this line, or what if I put another one here? And so I had fun just figuring out what I wanted the pattern of the baubles on there to be. And
Yeah,
so anyway, so this was what I came up with.
that's
And then
fantastic. I
I
love how
have
big it
my,
is. When I saw it in the flat
yeah,
images on Facebook and Ravelry, I couldn't tell how large it was. So I love that it's that big. Like, and the fact that you mentioned the squish factor of the yarn, like that's absolutely true. That's what I kept saying when I first got the yarn. I'm like, it's so squishy, like it's just squishy. And that's usually the first thing people will say. They're like, oh my gosh, it feels so good, especially people who've never even touched really nice soft merino wool before. They're like, this is so soft, it's so squishy. And there is no prickle factor. Like you just put it around your neck and it feels so good.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely really nice yarn. So the cowl is about 13 and a half inches this way.
Perfect.
And
Perfect.
so that was really what I was going for, was one that was going to really hold up around your neck and really keep you warm.
Yes.
And so I really like it. It's about, I think it's like 13 and a half by 31 and a half inches around. So I was really happy with exactly how the dimensions came out.
Awesome. It's
Really like
beautiful.
it a
And I
lot.
love that color. That's the Sterling colorway, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
it
good.
is. So I went looking around. I always, when I'm designing something, will go to Pantone's website and look at what the big colors are right now, because that's like they're, I don't know, they're a color company basically.
Uh-huh.
They do color predictions about what colors are going to be big in the fashion industry or in like home decor. And so I always go to their website and look at what colors are big right now and try to pick colors from there if I can, unless there's already a yarn that I have that I love and really want to work with. I go with a color that they have suggested as a good one. So this one I had my 12-year-old model it, and she, Mom, can I keep it? Can I have it? But I didn't want to give it away. So I said, well, I'm going to keep it, but you can ask to borrow it
That's
because I
awesome.
really want to be able to wear it myself. It is really, really comfortable.
That's so great. I love it. It's so pretty. I want to call it like asymmetrical aspect of the diamonds that what you did
Hmm.
there. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
Let's see if I can hold it up. So, yeah, so I started with making, well, it's hard to hold up and show up, but I wanted to make, just diamonds all the way around. But then I started making a smaller diamond inside of the bigger one.
Uh-huh.
I decided to continue up with the smaller diamond and not the larger one. So it
Yeah.
kind of, yeah, so it was kind of a fun pattern, I felt like.
That's awesome. And where can people find that pattern?
So it is on my blog, bananamoonstudio.com. I'll say that slower, bananamoonstudio.com.
All right, so now we got it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's on my blog. It's only going to be free for 1 week because, like I said, I alternate free and paid patterns. It's actually time for me to do a paid pattern, but for the occasion, for releasing this new pattern and Marley's Yarn on her show, I wanted to put it up free on my blog for a week. So it'll be free up there for 1 week, and at that point, I'll put the links.
We lost your video again, but keep
Ah,
talking. You're good. Keep talking.
there
Oh,
we
there
go.
you are. Okay, I'll go back.
My phone is struggling with it.
That's okay.
Um, I'm going to have it free up there for 1 week, and then I'm going to change it over to a paid pattern. But I don't charge a lot for my patterns either. It's only going to be $3
Oh, that's like
once I change.
nothing.
I know, once I
That,
change it to a paid pattern.
that's a
So
small coffee. Lisa, I'm gonna Gattis, Gattis. She says that she loves the look of the cowl. It looks so cute, and that'd be great in an oversized sweater. That's a really good idea. That would
yeah.
be really lovely. I love some sweaters. Caitlin's always trying to get me to design more sweaters. Let's see. Genia says, will you say the site of the pattern again? It's bananamoonstudio.com, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So now that's going to make me ask you, do you want to tell the story of Banana Moon Studio?
Yes, I love this story, and
It's
it's
very
really
cute.
it has a lot to do with my life and my kids, and I mean, they're my world. I spend, like I said, most of my time with them, and I love that I get so much time with them. So I'll tell the story. When I started my business, I started out on Etsy just selling ready-made things, mostly baby mittens. And then I found that it was really difficult to sell ready made things at a decent price because people can buy it for $5 at Walmart. and
Yep.
So I shifted more to designing patterns. But when I started out on Etsy, I just named it April Creates. And it was okay, but I didn't feel like it was actually, ironically enough, a very creative name. And so I spent a day that I was determined I was going to change the name, and I spent this day just thinking all day about what would it be, what would I change it to. And while I was considering all of that, I just this memory popped into my mind of my oldest when she was a toddler. She was a year and a half old, and we were driving home late one night. We had been visiting my parents, and there was a yellow crescent moon in the sky, and she pointed out the window at the moon and said, "Bina." And I thought that was really cute because that was how she said the word banana. And I turned to my husband and laughed. I said, "She thinks there's a banana out there in the sky." And I just thought that was so cute. And so when that memory came to mind, I went, "Oh, that would be perfect, banana moon." And then I thought about, well, there's got to be one more word there. What would it be? And I thought maybe banana moon stitches or banana moon stitchery. And then the word studio popped into my mind, and I went, "I love it. That's perfect." So that was where the name came from. And that same day, I had this inspiration about what I was going to do for my logo. And I grabbed a banana off of my counter, and I grabbed some paper and some paint, and I started painting on the banana and then pressing it onto the paper.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I shifted the colors. I started with yellow and shifted into green, and then I made the last one purple kind of as an accent color. So there's 7 bananas, and then I put the name Banana Moon Studio across them. And it was funny because my kids came over to me and were looking at me like, "What are you doing, Mom?"
Mom's lost her mind.
Making a banana. Isn't that what you do every day? Make banana? So they thought that was so funny. So when you look at my logo, I've kind of made a stylized version of it since then. But the original one, you can see very much that it was painted.
I love it.
So,
It's
so
great.
that's what it is. And then I scanned it and put the words across it. And anyway, it was fun.
Fantastic. I love that. Well, it's the time of the show that we give away a prize. And I know that you are offering 2 free patterns to a live listener and 2 patterns to somebody who leaves a comment on the show notes. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. So I'm going to explain to people how they can win these wonderful prizes. So if you are listening live today, welcome. We are glad you're here. Thank you for joining us on this special Monday morning podcast. It is 10:55. So literally, if you are listening to us live on the air, I want you to write, I want a banana in the I almost called it the blog post, in the pop-up in the chat room. That's the word. I want a banana in the chat room, and that is going to be a chance. Let me try this one more time. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Yarn Thing podcast. Okay, so right, I want a banana in the chat room, and that will be your entry ticket for a chance to win 2 free patterns from Banana Moon Studio. And I love it. People are right. I want a banana. I love that. If you are not listening live, don't worry. There's always a chance for you to win as well. All you have to do is go to the show notes. I've already put the link in the video description box right down there below this video. So you can go down there, go to my website. You'll notice there are ads now that we've talked all about it, right?
Yep.
Go to my website. You'll see a brief like introduction to April, a link to the show, a link to the sponsors, and then you'll see where you can leave a comment. And you want to leave a comment using the keyword banana, and that will enter you for a chance to win 2 patterns from Banana Moon Studio as well. So we choose the winner of the commenters from the commenters in about, 3 weeks is usually kind of what we do now. And we don't now announce them on air anymore. We just send the winner an email. So you can always go leave your comment. There's always a chance for you to win until it's been chosen. But better yet, we love to read your comments over there. I know that there are previous guests who will go to their show notes and read the comments of what people leave there. So it's important that you go and tell them, thank you for joining the show. Thanks for the chance to win a prize. Your story was really interesting, whatever it may be. But those can always be found at marleybird.com. One more time, marleybird.com. And if you haven't clued in yet, I'm Marley Bird. So, wherever you want to go, Marley Bird. And it's Marly, not EY like Bob Marley, just Marly. You'll see at the top of the drop-down menu list, it says Yarn Thing Podcast. Click on that. You'll see where it says show notes. Click on that, and you'll find the show notes for all of the podcasts we have done. So you could find the show notes for any of the shows there if you are interested. Okay, so it's that easy. But for today's show, we always give away a prize live. And so to do that, you have to leave your comment in the chat. I will always tell you what it is you're supposed to write over there. And today it was, I want a banana. People are still writing it. Oh my gosh, they're using an emoji of a banana. I love it so much. It's so cute. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Tammy Lethbridge, you're so funny. Okay, so what I'm going to do, April, is I'm over here in the chat area. I'm going to scroll up to where they started writing, and I'm scrolling back down, and I'm scrolling back up. Okay, so now I'm going up and down periodically. You tell me when to stop. That person will be the lucky winner.
All right, stop.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna do someone close to the beginning.
Yeah, you were close. So Kathleen Champ. It's funny. I've been writing with her this whole time because she's been asking questions. Kathleen Champ, you're the lucky winner. So super easy. I'm guessing you just need her email address. Are you gonna give her the patterns over Ravelry?
I can do it either way. I can give them to her over Ravelry, or I can just email her the PDFs. But if I have her email address, and if she'll just go to my Ravelry pattern store, she can choose from the paid patterns on there. Obviously, there's lots of free ones on my blog. Those are already free. But go look at my Ravelry pattern store, and you can have 2 free patterns that are on there.
All right. I'm telling her, hold on. I'm telling her that she needs to email me. So Kathleen, if you're watching still, email me winner@yarnthingpodcast.com. That's okay. Winner@yarnthingpodcast.com. If you get a chance in the subject line, make sure you let us know what it was you won, because we do our best to keep track, but there's a lot of things happening around here. And then if you've already chosen the 2 paid for patterns you want from April, go ahead and include those. I will be sure to send the email over to April, and she'll get you your patterns right away. So congratulations, Kathleen. And thank you to all of you who did leave your comment with your little emojis of the bananas. Super adorable. I love it so much. Don't forget that you still have a chance to win 2 patterns as well by leaving your comment on the show notes, which are available where, April?
Where are the patterns, or
Where are the
where are
show
the show notes?
notes?
They're on marleybird.com.
Very good. She can be taught.
Sorry.
Marleybird.com. Very cool. April, I had such a great time talking to you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, I had a great time. Thank you.
It was so much fun. And before we let you go, let's let you shout out exactly where people can follow you on social media, because I know that's super important. And one more time, give people your website, and just so that everybody knows that all that information is on the show notes as well.
Yep. So you can find me on bananamoonstudio.com, and you can find me on Pinterest, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and all of those places on Banana Moon Studio as well.
Pretty easy.
Though, unfortunately, because of how long the name is in Pinterest and Twitter, I had to leave out the U in studio. But anyway, so that's where I am. And then I'm also on Ravelry, and you can find me there actually just under my name, April Garwood.
Awesome. Very cool. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always great to hear your story. And I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's exciting to me to watch everything happen for you. It's just really good stuff.
Yeah, thank you. It's been so much fun to watch and see your success grow too, because even though you were already hugely successful when I met you, you've had so many awesome things happening in your career since then.
Well,
And it's
thank
been
you.
fun. I'm
Thank
excited for
you.
your success.
Thank you. God's really blessed me lately, so I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And thank you to all of you listening in today. I appreciate you joining us here on the Yarn Thing podcast. Don't forget, we try and go live every Tuesday morning. I will remind you, next Tuesday morning, the 23rd, I will be in San Francisco, so I won't be on the show. We don't have a podcast next Tuesday. I'll be at Creative Bug doing a Facebook Live over there. So if you want to, make sure you check out the Creative Bug Facebook page, and you can see me there talking about some good stuff. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to get together with some of you minions in San Francisco area. If you're interested in getting together maybe for lunch, just drop me a note. Let me know, and maybe we all can get together and have a good powwow. Chris Lopez, I am looking at you. All right, guys, I really appreciate you joining us here today. Thank you for being subscribers. Don't forget to smash that like button. Josiah is still excited every time you guys smash that like button. He's like, you still say that, Mom, right? Yes, I do. So smash that like button, as my kids say, you guys. And I will talk to you again soon. There is a new video released today, so make sure you check that out. It's really cool. And I should have a couple more videos this week as well. So fingers crossed they'll get out on time. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.